Good evening, Guelph. My name is Mark Peralivas, and that rhymes with for all of us, and I'm the People's Party candidate for the Guelph riding. I thought it would be a good idea to go over the People's Party platform for the 2019 federal election, which is happening in October. And currently, there are 4 planks of the People's Party platform that have been released. I've looked at equalization, and today I'm going to look at internal trade, and I'm going to look at the firearms and healthcare as well. I know both are hot topic and hot button issues, but I'm going to go through them. But for today is going to be internal trade. So here's the People's Party website. The link is in the description if you want to read it for yourself. And all the links I talk about can also be found in the description or on the PPC website or on my personal website as well. I think I'll post this there. So PPC Party, the People's Party website says, quote, internal trade, getting rid of interprovincial trade barriers. The issue. More than a century and a half after Canada's founding, Canadians still cannot buy, sell, or work freely within their own country. In order to protect local special interests, provincial governments have adopted all kinds of measures that erect barriers to trade and labor mobility. Goods such as alcohol and agricultural products cannot be sold freely across provincial borders because of government monopolies or regulations. Nurses, accountants, or engineers have problems finding work in another province because their skills are not automatically recognized. Safety rules vary from one province to another. In some cases, it is easier for a Canadian company to sell its products in another country than in another province or territory. This hinders competition and impedes the growth of firms. Canadian consumers are therefore forced to pay more for goods and services. This is not what the Fathers of Confederation had intended. Section 121 of the Constitution states that goods must be, quote, admitted free into each of the other provinces. However, in the 2018 landmark Coumeau case, the Supreme Court ruled that measures which have the effect of limiting trade are unconstitutional only if it can be demonstrated that this is their, quote, primary purpose. This level of proof would be extremely difficult to establish in most cases. And we're just going to quickly look here. Here's the Coumeau case. CBC News is reporting beer not freed. Supreme Court upholds law in cross-border alcohol case. I just want to really quickly read this, but CBC reports, quote, Supreme Court of Canada has ruled unanimously that provinces and territories have the constitutional right to restrict the importation of goods across provincial and territorial borders as long as the primary aim of the restriction is not to impede trade. Thursday's ruling will dash the hopes of many Canadians who are hoping to have easier access to cheaper and sought-after products in neighboring provinces, particularly alcohol and tobacco. Gerard Coumeau, the retired New Brunswick man who initiated what came to be known as, quote, free the beer case, drives 2 or 3 times a year from his home in Tracade, sorry if I got that wrong, about 160 kilometers north of Moncton, to Quebec, where it's cheaper to buy beer and liquor. Quote, it doesn't make sense, because you can go into Quebec or any province and you can buy any quantity of merchandise, clothes, food, anything except for beer, Coumeau said following Thursday's decision. I'm sure I won't be buying as much as I used to. I might take a couple of cases, he said. The lawyer who argued Coumeau's case at the Supreme Court, Ian Blue, said he and his client were disappointed with the ruling, calling the decision to maintain the status quo, quote, very political. Blue said the court took into account the potential ramifications of opening interprovincial sales for agricultural supply management and provincial environmental controls. He pointed to other cases where the Supreme Court made decisions that made major changes to the status quo, but gave those affected time to figure it out. So I just wanted to point out that this is a real case. This was a big deal in 2018, and the Supreme Court decided to keep things as they are. Here's the facts back to the People's Party website. The 1994 agreement on internal trade negotiated between Ottawa, the provinces, and the territories failed to eliminate barriers. Its successor, the Canadian Free Trade Agreement, came into force in 2017, but almost half of its 345 pages contain exceptions and opt-out measures, rendering it ineffective. From an economic point of view, interprovincial barriers have the same effect as customs tariffs imposed on imports from other countries. According to a recent Statistics Canada study, the level of trade within Canada corresponds to what would be expected if each province imposed a 7% tariff on, quote, imports of goods and services from other provinces. A 2016 study published in the Canadian Journal of Economics concluded that the interprovincial trade barriers cost Canadians roughly $100 billion in lost economic opportunities annually. This is equivalent to a staggering $7,500 per household every year. Our plan. Freeing our economy from these interprovincial trade barriers would help families and businesses. It would also increase competition, raise productivity, and unite our country. A People's Party government will reassert the authority and leadership of the federal government on internal trade. Use Section 91(2) of the Constitution, which gives Ottawa exclusive power to regulate matters of international and interprovincial trade, to force provinces to apply the principle of mutual recognition where applicable. This principle means that if a worker, product, or service meets regulatory standards in one province, then other provinces will trust that they meet their own standards. Appoint a Minister of Internal Trade whose sole responsibility will be to conduct studies, raise public awareness, counteract the influence of special interests that benefit from interprovincial barriers, and put pressure on provincial governments to get rid of them. Okay, so this is kind of going to be my structure. Let me know if this is helpful for you, and if it's not, what would be helpful? Would it be better if I read the plan first, if I said our plan and outlined whatever the plan is for the plank and then read the issue and the facts? Or is it better to have it all tied up at the end? You let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, everybody. Really enjoy your weekend, Victoria Day long weekend. Have some good time with your family, etc., or some time recharging and relaxing away from everybody if that's what you prefer. Okay, have a wonderful evening. Thanks for watching. Check out thepeoplespartyofcanada.ca and check out ppcguelph.ca or markperalivas.com. Love to hear from you. Thanks for watching.